Man, cakewalk, easy. Y'all sitting up here, y'all praising this dude. This dude was nothing. I was almost 40 years old when I cooked this dude.
Terence Crawford decided to involve Floyd Mayweather in his preparation for his fight against Canelo Alvarez later this year, and the undefeated boxing legend was nothing short of impressed on seeing how improved Terence Crawford was. Floyd Mayweather had no doubts that Canelo would be put to sleep when the fight comes, adding to his already perfect skill set. Floyd Mayweather offered some defensive techniques to avoid being hit by the bigger man. The shoulder roll was one of them, while he also demonstrated some footworks for Crawford to imitate. It's interesting to see that Crawford is prepared for both Canelo's attack and defense, whichever style he brings. The undefeated pound-for-pound king believes he would be able to do some damage. On talking after the training, Floyd Mayweather brought back talks of his fight against Canelo Alvarez many years ago and claimed he sees so many similarities between himself then and Terence Crawford, now implying that the result won't be any different than what it was 12 years ago. Mayweather fought Canelo in a World Boxing Council and World Boxing Association light middleweight title showdown in September 2013. It was the 45th contest of the American's glittering career, coming up against the young Mexican, who was facing his toughest challenge. To date, it was seen as a tough test for Mayweather heading in, but it turned out to be a one-sided affair as the American claimed the victory on points, even if the scorecards had it much closer than most boxing fans. Money dominated the fight throughout, using his skills and expertise to outclass Canelo over 12 rounds to claim a majority decision victory. Despite being the clear winner at the end of the contest, Judge C.J. Ross scored at 114-114, which baffled many of those in attendance, including Mayweather. Speaking to Fight Hype, the 47-year-old did not hold back when talking about Canelo's boxing ability, initially summing up in 3 words how the fight when he was nothing. Mayweather then explained further what he thinks of the Mexican's ability. "You can take a guy like Canelo. I'll tell the truth about Canelo. The idiot was easy, a cakewalk. Easier, all praising this dude. He was nothing. I was almost 40, and I cooked this dude is."
Canelo, I was 36, and Canelo was 23, around the same age. Some of these guys.
Mayweather retired just a few years later, but over a decade on, Canelo remains one of the biggest names in boxing, securing world titles at middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight, and even becoming undisputed in the 168 pounds weight class after tasting defeat for the first time against Mayweather. Canelo went on to win his next 15 fights, winning world titles at middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight. In the process, he now looks set to take part in another huge boxing clash, with a clash against fellow pound-for-pound great Crawford believed to be agreed for later in the year.
World titles and was undisputed champion, I think. The tank age, the young low champions.
Some observers believe the weight difference could be too much for Crawford, who would be jumping up from 154 pounds to 168 pounds for the fight, having only competed once in the super welterweight division. Due to Canelo being a naturally much bigger man than Crawford, many feel that it could result in a big knockout win for the Mexican, similar to when he took on a much smaller opponent in Amir Khan, who had also moved up 2 divisions for the fight. With that in mind, Mayweather gave his verdict on what he thought of Canelo's power following their fight. After he was asked if it concerned him heading into the bout, not at all.
Canelo was 23 with 43 fights and 30 knockouts. And the world said he was inexperienced. I was 36.
He then said in the ring it was nothing he hadn't felt before. "It's nothing I have never felt before after being in the sport for over 20 years. Mayweather's comments may give Crawford confidence, especially with Canelo failing to stop his last 5 opponents. The 34-year-old from Guadalajara, Mexico, currently holds the Unified World Boxing Council, World Boxing Association, and World Boxing Organization titles at 168 pounds as he looks set to defend his crown against fellow pound-for-pound superstar Terence "Bud" Crawford later this year in what could be one of the biggest fights in the long history of boxing. Canelo's only other career defeat came in 2022 when he was beaten comprehensively by the former WBA light heavyweight champion Dimitri Bol with 40-something fights. And to tell you the truth, I was over the hill. And so when I fight guys when I'm in my 30s and they're in their 30s, what was even more interesting was that after Mayweather and Crawford met, Eddie Hearn was also at the training camp to support Shakur Stevenson. Hence, it was becoming a small meeting of the biggest names in boxing. They say that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But in the times we live in, and with so many witnesses to what happens, especially if celebrities are present, it is difficult to keep it secret. And if you add to that equation the name of Floyd Mayweather, it is impossible to hide it. It turns out that a recent meeting between Money and the famous promoter Eddie Hearn in a gym in Sin City sparks, and although the whole moment was wrapped in jocular comments, this does not mean that they were not throwing each other.
With 40-something fights. And to tell you the truth, I was over the hill. And so when I fight guys, when I'm in my 30s and they're in their 30s,
it should be remembered that Hearn was repeating some time ago in every space he was given that Floyd Mayweather had no money, or at least not the money he claims to have, and that this was why he was performing or looking for exhibition fights, money earned so much during his stellar boxing career, pocketing in excess of $2 billion in total earnings, including from his lucrative paydays against Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor. Widespread reports indicate that Mayweather's current total net worth is around $400 million, which has allowed him to live an extravagant lifestyle outside of the squared circle desk. Despite retiring from the professional ranks in 2017, Mayweather has been fighting in a series of remunerative exhibitions against some lesser opposition, including D and Logan Paul.
So one day, somebody, because you know I don't have social media on my phone, so they showed me Eddie. Eddie was like, "Floyd Mayweather ain't got no money. That's why he's doing exhibitions."
Legend has repeatedly insisted he is earning 8-figure paydays from each, even going as far as to nickname them legalized bank robberies. But when explaining why he was accepting the showman-style events, he insisted it was to continue to build his generational wealth. Matchroom boxing promoter Hearn made the suggestion in multiple interviews that Mayweather's net worth wasn't the same as many expected due to his plush purchases. He said, "I don't think he's got the money." He says, "That's what I think. I don't think he needs the money, but you know when you've got that lifestyle, when he's spending what he's spending."
Why he's doing exhibitions? No, Eddie don't believe that now.
Yeah. But Eddie will say some shit like that now.
Eddie will say some shit, but one thing.
The climax came when Money ran into him in Las Vegas and confronted him about it. The undefeated former boxer claimed that Hearn sometimes makes those kinds of comments and that they had even already cleared it up. So they began to joke as if the news had been real, to make jokes and to throw themselves at each other again, while their respective groups of friends celebrated what was said by both. The pair crossed paths in Las Vegas in a boxing gym as they watched some sparring as they were both in town for the fight between Diego Pacho and Steve Nelson. Mayweather jokingly began in a conversation. "So one day somebody said, 'cause you know I don't have social media on my phone, so they showed me Eddie."
Got it clear, didn't we, Eddie? Yeah. One thing, me and my buddy got it clear.
We said as long as ain't no sweating. Anything less.
Eddie was like, "Floyd Mayweather Jr. ain't got no money. That's why he is doing exhibitions." Eddie doesn't believe that. I know he says some stuff like that. But me and Eddie got it clear. Mayweather had a smug grin across his face, as did Hearn. And the pair then shook hands. The promoter then responded, "Yeah, as long as it is 10 or 20, there is no problem. Anything less, it can't be less than 10. The gag sent Mayweather bursting out laughing with a member of his team, as it was abundantly clear there were no hard feelings. Mayweather Jr. mentioned that he had even shown his bank accounts to Hearn. Mayweather then clarified, "Listen, I had to show Eddie some of my accounts." Hearn then concluded, "Imagine how much Floyd Mayweather would have made if I was his promoter. Do you know what I'm saying?" Mayweather is clearly not short of cash, and it is no wonder given his remarkable spending spree in recent months. The boxing legend has invested heavily in real estate, including his biggest ever $42 million purchase of a series Of apartment blocks me, they say that many a true word is spoken in jest, but at least in reality. And in the light of the facts, this does not apply to Money, who remains one of the richest former sportsmen in the world. It is currently unclear if he has any more exhibitions lined up. But he has continued to be linked to lucrative return back outs Hearn never promoted Mayweather, but likely wishes he did given the star power of. The American is pay-per-view events against Pacquiao in 2015 and McGregor in 2017 remain the two biggest earning fights in the modern era.
Can't be less than 10. Because then we're struggling for money. Man.
I had to show Eddie some of the account.
Imagine how much money Floyd Mayweather would have made if I was his promoter back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Eddie is too. But